Hey, we're switching it up. From now on, it's all cat videos here on out. Clearly no one's interested in art, so we're just gonna move to cat videos. This is my cat, TK. Here's his perch, where he likes to be next to the window to survey his domain. Hey everybody, welcome to the studio, home studio. Working on a bigger piece right now. Not sure the title yet, but if you've been following along with the rest of the tutorials, you can see that I'm working these in the same exact way, whether I'm painting a little glass of wine or drapery. I'm always building up my darks and I'm working from area to area. Since this one is more involved, I'm going to be working in a little more piecemeal than I would normally. Nice thing about those small works when we do the tutorials is we can finish them relatively quickly. This, however, will take significantly longer, probably upwards to a month. So I thought today I would just fill in some sky and just see where we go, block in a few colors, and mainly try to get the value of the sky down, knowing that I'm going to put another layer or two on top. When I'm working a bigger piece like this, I like to jump around a little bit. If I'm feeling a certain area, a certain day, I go with it. Working on long-term projects is tough, no matter who you are. Generally because you put so much work into it, and you've yet to see that work truly reap some dividends, and you're like, ugh. And so I'm not one to go necessarily in any particular order, but kind of follow the direction that I'm feeling a particular day. This is nice too. This is kind of the first bit of color the painting has. Mostly just wanted to put a bedrock down of lights and darks so that when I go back over with my final color layers, I'll have some good foundation already down, ready to go. I have this painting of dogs because it's my one 19th century painting that I own. My uncle gave it to me, and it's by Adele Roth. Anyone know an Adele Roth who might have been a painter back in 1898? I don't know, internet, let's figure it out.
Adele Dazeem.
But yeah, I just like to keep it. It just reminds me, this is one person who, I mean, value-wise, the painting is really interesting. But yeah, she created, and this is part of what was left behind, or whatever she created. I always find that interesting, and I realize that's my destiny too, because I get a brief time to create, and then I'm done. So this helps me number my days. So this is an ambitious piece, even for me. I generally don't include this many figures in one painting. Generally there's a solitary figure. Now I've got people interacting. Probably count on my hands the number of paintings I've made with more than one figure. Coming from a figurative painter, that's pretty significant. So this initial layering, working on some kind of a cloudscape. Don't do a lot of landscape generally. This is my goal right here, is just to block in some initial color and shape. In some ways my method doesn't change very much. Still just following shapes and the colors that I see, trying to stay true to the value. So I'm going to put one more layer onto this. I can do some effects if an area is slightly cooler, and I lay some warm, but allow some of that to come through. Allow some of that cooler underlayer to come through. You can create some really great atmospheric effects, clouds. It's coming from a figurative painter and a still life painter. So make of that what you will. Take a look at this one right here. Okay. Just want you to take a look at this and realize this is me. This is the painting I made in probably 1997, thereabouts. I was in high school, and this was the best thing that I could possibly make at the time. And so when you look at my pieces now and you look at this, you know, you wouldn't think that this is the same person, but it is. Went to my high school and they wanted me to talk to the students just about my art career and things that I had done. And they pulled this thing out, I don't know where. They said, "Is this yours?" And I looked at it and I said, "No, that's not mine." Literally, I didn't think it was mine. I was convinced. Sat there for a second and I looked at it and I said, you know what? I remember painting that book jacket. And I was just like, ah. So in the middle of my talk, I had to suddenly say, you know what? This is my painting. And if I can forget that I did this, you know, it was a very humbling moment. And I just thought, you know, people need to see that there's growth. I think oftentimes we looked at the things I'm painting now and we say, whoa, he's just always been able to do that. And the truth is, I haven't. There was some drawing gifting to base this painting career off of, but I've had to learn. So let's just set this here for a second and let me grab a little painting that's drying over here. You know, I've learned a thing or two about painting bone and jars and all sorts of things. Just think of the 20 years or so that have had to pass between this to this. And just know that in your own art making, it's gonna take time. There's no quick way to do it. It's years and years and years of work. So, high school events, best you could do. Truth, I save these times a bigger scale for bigger concepts and to paint the theme with a broad brush. Humanity is sacred, and we're not simply a chance collocation of atoms.
New band name, I call it.
You and I will have purpose. That's not to talk down the smaller work at all. I make different pieces for different reasons, and some are for pure joy. Others are statement pieces. And with this one, I'm making a statement about your value, your true value. This is my north window, and I love north-facing windows as a painter, as all artists do. It's the reason why this room became the studio, even though it's the master bedroom in the house. But you know, we've got nice, bright, open, north-facing light. I love the north light so much that I blot out any other windows because, well, that one faces west, so you can imagine what happens every day when the sun goes down. So this is it. Beautiful, it's wonderful, it's excellent. Use north light. There's a lot of preparation that goes into these bigger pieces. Lots of photography sessions with the models. So yes, even as a painter, it's valuable to know how to operate a camera. Good source material is everything. If you're going to work from photographs, you have to have good source material. So I gathered each of these individuals. We worked on the composition as a whole in place. Following that, we did some individual posing. Then came the long process of me poring over those photographs and selecting the parts I liked. Here's the storage closet. I keep all manner of things. Let's see. Oh, some frames, drapery, hair, more canvases ready to go. All manner of storing of paintings, paper, packing materials. Yeah, you name it, it's a rack. But that's where I keep all my goods. And yeah, this is the master closet. Sorry, we don't get to keep our clothes in a nice big walk-in closet. We keep a bunch of art things. Yeah. So I just took a peek out of my window a second ago. Cold winter day here in Kansas. It was 5 degrees last night, about 7 or 8 degrees now. The sun's out, it's quite deceptive. Sorry for you rest of the world that still talking in terms of Fahrenheit. I will say this about my American brethren. We have embraced the 2-liter. We're getting somewhere. See, I'm just working my way across the sky, making note of the shapes and putting a few spots right next to the other as I see them. And so I do edit digitally for the painting I want to see in the end. That being said, I'm a huge proponent of painting from life and certainly training from life. If you're just getting started, there's nothing better than working from life to learn drawing, to learn color, value, everything. And it's only because of the years and years of training from life that I can go into the use of a photograph knowing what to look for so that it still comes out okay. Here's the child setup because it's my job to keep the kids busy. And so I like to leave just some paper up, crayons ready so that when they come in, they can just immediately begin creating. Doesn't last long. I mean, and I end up really babysitting, but at the same time, it's really great. I like having that, and I hope someday, well, I don't want to steer them too much toward the arts. It's whatever they want to do, but maybe someday they create with me. I'd love that. So got this little easel here, make them feel part of the creative family. You've been wondering about the little painting up here above. This is my 3-year-old, his first oil painting. I don't know, we probably did it about maybe 8-9 months ago. And he sat on my lap. This was, we were very careful. Obviously, I'm dealing in poison here, but we were very careful. He painted, we talked. I was making a teapot painting at the time, and so that was his teapot. But I thought a lot about what it's like. He's sitting on what reality is like. He's sitting on my lap. He's creating this painting and doing what he understands to do. And I like to have it nearby where I can see it because really no different between God and I, where I am clumsily trying to figure out how to lay down some paint, make something meaningful, and that's all I'm doing. This is all I can make. And so really good for me to kind of think about that as I'm creating my work, know where I stand. At the same time, it was obviously a darling moment for my son to sit on my lap and create. I imagine we're seen in the same way, with the utmost love and care and joy. See my son create, quite beautiful. If you'd like to follow along with me while I'm making this piece, you can do so over the next few weeks. I'm going to be posting the progress shots on patreon.com/EBWIII. You can watch when each one of these faces and hands unfolds. One of the reasons to follow along on Patreon is that you get a stake in what's being created. This painting is made largely because of patrons who help me afford supplies, canvases like this, they're expensive. The time that's required, the time commitment is extensive. And I can't do this any other way. In fact, I'd like to say a thank you to Steve and Janine Schweitzer, who have been giving for the last year. In fact, they own a number of pieces as well as become regular patrons, and I'm so grateful for you. Thank you guys. And so if you're saying, hey, I can never afford one of these pieces, but I'd really like to see you flourish as an artist and help you, this is the way to go. You get a couple things. You get to follow along, and you also get the knowledge of knowing that you're truly supporting the arts and supporting an artist that you believe should be making work. Thank you.